buddy. We had a week break, and then we recorded an entire episode for you, and the gremlins went to town on it. I triple checked the audio while we were recording it. Everything.
Yeah, we did. We were very... We checked it a few times.
Yeah, we were diligent because we were like, well, we stopped and we started, and I went to edit it, and it was like, what? It was just Meg talking to herself, and like, I'm like, oh, okay. You know, the gremlins just hate me, so that's fine.
Okay, when you say that, I don't know how much Are You Afraid of the Dark you watched. Do you remember that episode where the dude... Okay, now... Keep in mind, it's been quite a frickin' while since I have watched this episode. I mean, by quite a while, I mean maybe a couple years. It's not as long as most people. But, so I might be just mashing together like 7 or 8 different episodes. As I do. My recollection is, so like... I'm sorry, I know this had nothing to do with the Watcher. So in the episode that I'm thinking of when Aaron was like the Gremlins, and I was like, ooh, I remember this, was... this dude, like, I don't know, gets a Polaroid or something. Or no, it was like a fancy old camera from, I don't know, a junk shop. And he takes a picture and it shows the stuff that's, like, gonna happen, you know? So he takes...
Oh,
yeah.
shit, I remember
And then
that.
in, like, the corner, there's this little... It looks like a Moonanite, honestly.
Yeah, it does. Dude,
All right.
That's right. I remember. I was so excited to find out that the Midnight Club was based on the Christopher Pike books because, like...
Oh, man. Did you watch it yet?
Not yet. So, but
I've read...
read...
It's really fucking good, dude.
Oh my God, I've read every Christopher Pike book there ever was.
Oh, really?
Every
Now,
Goosebumps book, everything. Christopher
I was
Pike
more of
my
like an
jam.
R.L. Stein,
Oh,
like,
him
what was
too.
it, 13 Nightmare Street or some shit?
Yeah.
13 Fear Street.
There was something about Christopher Pike that just inspired me. I remember writing my own scary stories after reading
Christopher
it.
Pike was, like, way more, like, edgy, though.
Mm-hmm. So, today, ladies and gentlemen, we are covering The Watcher. I watched the show, so did Megan. But she knew the story of The Watcher and I did not. So I've seen the drama version.
But now she does.
But now
so
I do
it's
because
less
we
surprising.
recorded it. But we went into it with the plan. I would see the drama version. She would know the truth, and then we would compare notes. So basically, we're just going to do a breakdown today of The Watcher.
Well, okay. In order to recreate a, like, pretty important arc of our last episode that you guys didn't get to listen to because the gremlins got to it and ate it, we got to talk about ants first.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I remember bringing it all back.
Yep.
It was
I
the most
remember
important arc.
It was.
It was so fortuitous.
It was, honestly, it was one of our best episodes ever, and it's gone for good.
It probably was, like, a really good episode.
It was so good. And, like, not, like, the first 30 minutes of it are gone. So all the setup, all the
ant talk.
All the ant talk. We talked about ants because I was showing Megan, and I'm going to post on the Insta because I still have
because like, it's tempting to post a picture of the Watcher house for this episode. But honestly, though, I think that this is more fitting, and you'll fucking find out why.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm going to remember to tie it all back.
Exactly. We're gonna recreate it the best we can. But honestly, like, so...
Can't catch lightning in a bottle, bro.
Fuck. But we
Because
started...
the gremlins will tip it over.
I know, right? Maybe there's a... Dude, maybe we were too on the nose with who the Watcher really is.
Holy shit.
And we're tying it back again.
We legit solved it. Oh my God,
did.
solved as fuck. Like, take your red rubber stamp and just solved. We fucking solved it. You guys have so much to look forward to when we try to remember. It's okay. This isn't the greatest episode in the world. This is just a tribute.
Exactly.
Because we lost the best episode. So this
will be our tribute to the Watcher episode.
Yeah. Our tribute to the episode that never got made.
Oh my God. That got made and got never heard. The best episode of all time. I'm going to tie that into the title. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break it down just a bit. And then we're going to get into what is the Watcher really versus what is it in the show. What are the letters saying? What are our theories? And
God,
then...
the letters are...
And we only have... so much information. We don't even have the complete ones. And then I want to break down a little bit, and actually I'm glad that we get to re-record this part, because I want to break down a bit the verbiage of the letter. It's very odd.
Yes.
And I want to know...
And I look forward to that.
That'll be fun, because I want to know if it's like a timely colloquialisms, or if it's like a pointed choice to intimidate. So yeah, we're going to get into all of it.
Ooh,
so,
did you like research it, or you're just going to like...
I'm gonna
vibe
wing
on it.
I'm gonna vibe on it.
Ooh, I love it.
Because I've been writing so much lately. The word choice is so in the forefront of my mind. So let's get into it. So The Watcher is a Netflix show starring Naomi Watts and Bobby Cannavale about a family who buy a very expensive $3 million house outside of the city in New Jersey. They move from New York to New Jersey to have like a better life. And as soon as they move in, they start getting these letters from someone who calls themselves the Watcher. So I would say up until there, that's all factually correct.
Yeah, I had something pulled up, and then like the very first thing that was on there, I was like, well, that's not right at all. So so they bought the house for what, like 3.3 million?
Yeah, that sounds
roughly.
right. Yeah.
And okay, so we're gonna start with the inconsistencies like now.
Let's just say that Ryan Murphy,
He took liberties.
he lives in a world of, I would say, cocaine-fueled telenovela-style drama.
With no socks.
No socks.
No socks exist in this man's world.
No. So here's our theory. When he walks into the writer's room, he is coming off of a bender, a cocaine bender. You know, because as you do when you're a famous Ryan Murphy, and you've had so many hits, and you walk into it and you're like, man, I gotta top this. You're chasing that success, and you walk into the writer's room, you're like, fuck, okay, we've got carte blanche, we can do whatever we want. And someone's like, well, what if we follow this? And he's like, no, what if we create complete and utter fallacies? What if we use every single writer's trope there is? We're going to use red herrings. We're going to use the unreliable narrator. All the things, throw them at the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah, I think what happened was, okay, so he ordered spaghetti when he was kind of coming down off of coke, and he was like a little hungry, and he had like smoked a few bowls, and he's like, yeah, I could spaghetti. And then somebody, like his coke dude, came back and was like, oh, hey, like here's a hefty bag full of coke. And he was like, haha, yeah, that's what the fuck's up. And then his assistant comes in with the spaghetti, I don't know, like 45 minutes later.
Yeah.
And he just like was like, what the fuck is this? I don't eat food. I eat cocaine. And just like dramatically smacked the fucking plate off of the table, and it all hit the wall. And he was like, you know what? That spaghetti on the wall, that's what the fuck we're doing. The Watcher, motherfuckers.
That's right.
And that's what happened. And then his assistant, Andy, was like, I mean, I would have eaten that, but okay.
But that's fine. I mean, that's cool that you needed the moment and the spaghetti to, like, make a point. But
my mom made that.
But like, you know, and I'm an intern, so...
that was actually my lunch. You ordered the caprese.
The margarita pizza you wanted was over here. So with episode 1, we come in and we meet the quote-unquote the Brannick family, which in real life is the Braddis family. Then we have...
Even their first names are fucked up.
Yeah, because it was Dean and Nora, and in real life it's Derek and Maria.
Yup.
Now I've had bees in my bones from the level of caffeine I've been consuming for the last, like, I don't know, 8.5 days.
Are you tasting color right now?
I'm almost ready to taste some color, and so I just stumbled really eloquently over the names.
It worked.
But
also, the number of kids and the ages of the kids was like just not true.
Totally not true. In real life, they had 3. In the show, they have 2.
In real life, their kids were like 10, 8, and 5, I believe.
Which makes this so much worse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because in the show, they're like 11 and 16.
Yeah.
Which I can see where that needed to happen.
Can I real life the... Oh, no, I don't want to jump ahead too far. Can I real life the letter, though?
Real life the letter? What do you mean?
Like, in the show, the daughter opens the letter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally.
And...
Totally.
In reality, like it's not like they just like bought the house and they're like, cool, we're moving in right now. Like, they bought the house and they were like, okay, cool, we're gonna do some renovations, because living in like a house that's under renovation is hell.
As the drama-filled family of the Brannocks found out, because in the show they did live through the renovation.
In the show, they didn't have any other option. In reality, they totally did. And so, yeah, like, they weren't moved in. Like, some of their stuff was there, sure, and he was there to, like, you know, open the door for the contractors or whatever. And he got this letter that we will read.
Yes.
And the literal thing that the cop said was, "What the fuck is this?" Welcome to Jersey.
Yeah, that's what the letter it indicates.
That's the only thing a person could say to that letter.
I mean, truly.
It's the only appropriate thing to say. It's the only appropriate response.
It's so strange. So in episode 1, we meet the Brannocks. Now we meet all the weird neighbors and the fun people of this tiny little, like, quaint little town. We've got Richard Kind, who's my favorite because he drops so many F-bombs, and
He's
I just
pretty
love
much the
him
best.
anyway. Jennifer Coolidge, who is like in...
Also the best.
She's the best. She's like in weird, pinch-faced, mysterious glory. I feel like she pinches her face
played
more in that.
Stifler's mom.
Yeah, she played Stifler's mom.
In case you guys don't know who that is.
She was in Best in Show. She's like, yeah, she's a caricature of a busty blonde woman.
Gosh, she seems like she would give the best hugs, and she
Oh
would
my
always
God.
smell kind of like vanilla.
And she would always have a stole on, like fake or real. Like a fake stole, and you could rub your face on it while you're getting the hug.
Oh, man.
Yeah, she seems like the best. The guy who played Shooter McCann, I can't remember his real name.
Yeah, the dad from SLC Punk.
Yeah, he was.
Man,
he
I
was
bet
in
that
it.
her hands are so soft. I'm just fixated on
my
Jennifer
God.
Coolidge right now.
Okay, but then let's get to my favorite person in the world, Mia Farrow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Should be everyone's favorite person. Mia Farrow is a national treasure.
Dude, somebody tapped her on the shoulder while she was at home, and they were like, "Hey, we have this, but we want you to just play yourself. So, like just you do you, but like maybe put like a fun twist on it." She
Maybe
was
their
like,
wardrobe budget was like ish,
Right?
and they were just like, "Okay, everyone, just come as yourselves.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out."
just Netflix,
And it
is-
just worked.
Netflix is not giving us the money they used to.
Yeah, because I think that's really how Jennifer Coolidge dresses.
I
I think
think
that's
so, too.
really how all of them dress,
I
if I'm
really
being
think
honest
so.
with you.
I mean, except for, I would say the only exception would maybe be Shooter McCann does not wear that many button-up shirts. Maybe.
That's
But
a stiff
other than
maybe.
that,
I don't know.
everybody.
Actually, you know what? The brother, Mia Farrow's brother, perhaps he doesn't actually dress like that.
He may not wear as
He
many
seems
overalls.
like a right. Maybe they spent the whole budget on overalls.
on overalls just for him.
Yeah,
You know,
it was in his writer.
Oh my God. I'm sure if we reach out to the guy who plays Rolled on Letterkenny and ask him what his budget is for overalls, we might get a Canadian idea.
$17.
$17. He did a whole TikTok series that shows you, like, piece by piece what you can go to the store and buy so you can dress up as him for Halloween.
No, that's
He fucking
amazing.
did. He was
what
like-
a gem.
I know, and he was like, I can't figure out, there's no
him.
tag on these overalls, and so someone was like, dude, they're Carhartts, it says Carhartt on the button right there, and he was like, so then he did another video, he was like, oh shit, they're Carhartts, okay, you guys are Carhartts.
Is he
was the
just
sweetest.
pretty much rolled, but
No.
in real life?
No,
Does
I
he
know,
have a different
right?
voice and everything?
That's
That's always so weird when that happens. Like Fonzie
Yeah.
versus Henry Winkler. The voice is so different. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Everyone in my life makes these references to Happy Days, and they just go right over my head. Dave gets so mad at me. Don't marry a boomer unless you're prepared for the fucking Happy Days.
I only ever reference Happy Days. I only speak Richie Cunningham.
I know, right? I like. He's not. He's straight. Rolled is straight. From what I can tell, he is far less bees in his bones.
Aw.
But he's awesome. So anyway, so we meet all the townsfolk. Mia Farrow is amazing. She got me. But let's talk about the first letter that arrived, because in episode 1 they get the first letter. So I'm going to make a stylistic choice here. Now, like you said, the daughter found it in the show. In real life, it was the wife.
No,
right?
it was the guy.
It was the guy. Okay. So in the podcast that we listened to, the guy who read these letters did it with a very specific air to him. It was very menacing.
Very manic, yeah.
Very manic. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to
good call.
read it as if I had written it.
Okay.
Because it feels like a woman wrote these.
Yeah, actually, and one of the investigators that they had brought in had said that.
You know, that's funny. And like after reading them and transcribing them and stuff, I was like, dude, if I wrote these exact same words. Okay, so if you got a guy to read one of my stories completely out of context,
Ooh.
right, he would probably use that weird menacing voice, whereas I would use like the funny, haha, sarcastic part or whatever. So I just feel like that was such an intense choice for him. So I'm just gonna...
I thought it was a little dramatic. What if it was just like somebody like us who just like
really
has weird social skills
Yes.
and is like trying to be funny, but
Yeah.
it's just not landing?
That's what I wanted to talk about with the word choices. Like maybe it's someone who's neurodivergent who has these ways of talking that don't transcribe on letters. So,
yeah,
okay.
I'm down for that stylistic choice.
Okay, good, because I know it's
I'm
outside
down.
the box, but I'm going with it.
I'm totally down. Just don't do it in like a transatlantic or
God,
like
no.
English accent.
I'm going to read these as if I had written them for story night.
Okay, sick.
Okay. Dearest new neighbors at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its forces from within? 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 20s, and my father watched the house in the 1960s, and now it's my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out. I see already that you flooded 657 Boulevard with contractors so that you can destroy the house as it's supposed to be. Tisk tisk. Bad move. You don't want to make 657 Boulevard unhappy. You have children. I have seen them. So far, I think there are 3 that I've counted. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it greed that brought me your children? Once I know their names, I'll call to them and draw them to me. Who am I? There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I'm in one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I'm in one. Look out any of the many windows at 657 Boulevard at all the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I am one. Welcome, my friends. Welcome. Let the party begin. The Watcher.
That was an excellent stylistic choice.
Thank you, because when you frame it as someone who has a weird sense of humor that doesn't translate onto the page,
oh my god, I love it.
It's a little less menacing. I mean, still very menacing.
It's still, yeah, it is still weird. Like,
I mean,
bring me your
weird.
children and stuff. But yeah, no, I fucking love it.
Like old lady who, like, her grandkids don't talk to her because she's real right wing, and she's like, oh, new babies, because I like freak out over kids that are, like, yeah, dude, I'm a mom.
Right.
Like...
Oh my god, dude. I'm so down for your stylistic choice.
Oh, thank you. I was hoping you would be, because it just feels more natural. It feels like if a woman wrote it,
yeah.
I mean, I'm a little
Shit, maybe Mia Farrow did write it.
I know, right?
Like real life Mia Farrow.
Oh, man. So in episode 2, we meet the former owner and a private detective that the family hires to find out what the real story is, because the police are like, oh, it'll be fine. We'll just drive by. It'll be fine. We'll find out who this is. So nobody makes enough money in this world that Ryan Murphy has created to live in these places doing the things that they do. Like Naomi Watts plays the wife, and she is a ceramic artist. And so she puts on her most comfortable linen clothes, and
her floppy hats.
And she flits off into the city to sell ceramics, and thank God she does, because they've put every penny of her husband's money into this house. And that made me really roll my eyes, because I'm like, dude, come on. Like,
it's like on House Hunters where like this dude is a professional dog walker and his wife hangs garlic for a living, and their budget is like $65 million. Right. And they want a bungalow tree house.
Oh yeah, a bungalow tree house that's totally green with a composting toilet.
Yeah.
So at this point we meet the former owner, who is like would you say like a mentally unstable junkie vibrating with like unreliable narrator vibes?
He is He's like when I have way too many energy drinks and way too little sleep and I go like super fucking manic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they made up this whole backstory for him where he, like, his wife
None of it's
killed
true.
himself. The people who moved out of
They
the
were
house,
the Woods family and they were like really fucking nice.
and old as shit,
Yeah.
too, right? Like, which also...
I believe so.
Also lends to the fact that, like, maybe, like, this old lady who wrote this letter was so sad because there were no fun kids to watch once the family across the street got old.
Well, and so also, like, after the Broaddus family got this, like, you know, immediately Derek showed the letter to Maria because, like, you know, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And she was like, well, cool, we're not moving the kids in.
Yeah.
And eventually they actually lived with their sister, or lived with her sister, rather, not their sister. That would be weird. But yeah, she was kind of like, well, that's fucking creepy. Let's not tell the kids about this, but we're not going to live there. And so she, I believe, had reached out to the previous owners. And Andrea, the wife, had gotten back to them and more or less said, like, I mean, we did receive one letter, you know, like maybe 3 days before we left, but it wasn't like, it was weird, but it wasn't give us your blood weird. It was more just like, thank you for watching over the house weird. And she was like, we just thought it was like an appreciative neighbor or something.
Yeah.
Like, and just threw the letter away.
Not nearly as menacing as these people got.
No, not even a little. And later on, I believe in like 2018, when the Broaddus family, I mean, their fucking faculty started to disintegrate over this shit. And she actually, well, the Broaddus family had tried to sue the Woods family, saying more or less that they should have let them know. But I mean, obviously that suit went nowhere because they were like, okay, so like you brought in your own inspector and they didn't find, you know, black mold, bodies in the walls. The foundation was fine. And frankly, that's really all that you can sue a person over.
I mean, really.
Is if they didn't disclose that, you know, there was like black mold or something.
And they technically don't have to disclose unless they are aware. And if no one has ever been in the walls, they might not be aware.
Right.
So
Spoiler, nobody's in the walls.
Yeah, nothing fun in the walls.
Because they did, after the whole, like, have you discovered what's in the walls? They were like, fixin' to. What?
So,
and it's just a lack of insulation is all.
Yeah, exactly. So as we were just sitting here talking, I realized, okay, Grey Gardens, right? Okay, I know, right? I'll bring it back around. Grey Gardens is like, you know, it's the documentary about Big Edie and Little Edie, who were cousins of...
Oh, yeah. Jackie Kennedy. Yeah.
And they lived in this, like, busted-ass derelict house out in the Hamptons, right? And, like, they didn't have power, and they lived with the raccoons.
They were duchesses, though.
Totally, right? What if it's some old lady like Big Edie or Little Edie who's writing this, because their vernacular was weird. They talked weird.
For sure.
Like, their choices were weird. My favorite... Okay, I have decided that it's that sort of a situation where it's like, I've sort of lost my mind because I've lived like this for too long. And young
Look
blood.
at the skylights nature put into our attic.
Oh my gosh, thanks for the cats. I mean, raccoons that eat cat food or whatever they are. Yeah, that's who the Watcher is. I've decided. But dude, my favorite thing in the whole world is when Documentary Now did the parody of Grey Gardens.
Oh my god.
And Bill Hader just walked around with a pair of sweatpants on his head like a turban.
But he was like, Bill Hader has this weird ability to be a really, really good actor. Not Bernie.
Oh,
that was
Barry.
the Jack Black one. Barry. Yeah, he's like, he's a really good comedy actor.
Yeah.
But holy shit, he's a really good serious actor.
I know, right?
So fucking believable.
I
kind of feel like his Grey Gardens parody was a melding of the two.
Yes, exactly. It was so good.
That's
so anyway,
amazing.
yeah, just while we were sitting there, like, and we were talking about it, yeah. So we're gonna jump to episode 3, where Richard Kind and his wife go on vacation, like, quote unquote, go on vacation after they have this big fight with Bobby Cannavale, and she's like, makes this big dramatic statement and exit, and then the next thing you see are the bodies being taken out of the house of supposedly of the neighbors, right? And I knew instantly, I was like, that is some college 101 level shit. That's a red herring. That's not
and
them.
it was.
And it was. And I got really mad because the whole thing was like, their son was so sad that they had gone on vacation that he went to a homeless shelter and got 2 old people that had the same body types as his parents and then murdered them in their house.
So it wasn't that he was so sad. The way that she had explained
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
was he had some sort of like drug debts or something like that. And he was mentally unstable and super strung out. And in order to attempt to collect on their life insurance while they were in Florida, he had killed them and made it look like a murder-suicide.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, none of that is true. The only very, very loose truth to any of the, Big Mo...
Big Mo and whatever her husband's name was. Richard
Mo.
Kind.
Big Mo and Richard Kind. The only truth to that was when the Broaddus's next door neighbor was like getting their house painted, the person who was painting their house had said something to the effect of that he thought it was odd that one of their neighbors had the patio furniture pointing toward the Watcher house.
Yes.
Like, that is the literal only speck of something that those characters were based off of. Yeah. Because when you first see them, they're on patio furniture that is, like, oddly, ominously placed.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan Murphy went to great lengths to create as many potential suspects as possible.
Oh, for sure.
And I mean, in that sense, he did really well. But I was really irritated, and I almost stopped watching at this point. But I kept powering forward, and I'm glad that I did, because season 4... Or episode 4.
I was like, season 4? Jesus. All right.
I'm vibrating too much. My bees need to calm down. Which is so funny because we're recording another episode after this, and it also involves bees. So prepare next week to hear about bees.
Hell yeah, dude.
So let's talk about John List.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
So could I grain of truth this first?
Yes, please do.
The only grain of truth on this is that the neighbor that was next to them, his name was John.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the one who, when talking of their other neighbor, who was a suspect for quite a while, had said of him that he was kind of a Boo Radley type character, but he was really nice and more or less harmless, and that he would bring him his paper every day.
Yeah.
Like, that is the only speck of truth, is they had a neighbor named John. So
Ryan Murphy took that and he spun quite a yarn.
John List, more like.
Oh my gosh. So I knew instantly that this was John List because John List is the very first boogeyman that existed in my life. I'm gonna explain it. Don't worry. So John List was from this town. He was from the same town of Westfield or whatever. And in real life, what he did is he bought a house he could not afford with his mother's savings. And so she moved in with him and his wife and their 3 kids. Now, his wife had syphilis and she was a raging alcoholic. So she was really mean to him. She'd like call him baby dick all the time and throw spaghetti at him or whatever. Like, she legit had neurological issues.
So she was Roxy from Sunny, except for not nice.
Roxy.
What you talking about, baby dick?
Shit, she
His coat softer than dick skin.
Yes, that's right. So she was just a barrel of laughs.
She was great at parties.
She was great, unless you were like the very devoutly Lutheran John List, who was like he was like a super bummer of a dude. He was like way into women being subservient and never showing like their ankles or whatever because he was fucking repressed. So what he did is he got fired one day. And he just didn't mention it. So he like kept pretending like he was going to go to work with an apple in his fucking briefcase or whatever, and would just like sit and watch the ducks and slowly like crumble under the pressure of knowing that he was living a lie. And so in order to, it's so hard to even get out, in order to quote unquote spare his family the misery of poverty, he fucking killed them all. So first one to go was the wife. I think she called him baby dick just a little too early in the morning.
Not before the coffee, Clarice.
Right. So he shot her in the face. And then his mom was like, John, what was that? And he was like, nothing, mother. And she's like, no, I heard a gunshot. And he's like, shh. Well, now you'll hear another. Shot her in the head. And then as the teenage children came home, which one was named Patricia, like as the teenage daughter was named in the show. And then there was John Jr. and I disrespect their memory by not remembering the other one, but 2 boys and a girl. One by one, as they came home, he shot him in the back of the head, and then he took everyone's bodies and he put them into sleeping bags and he drugged them into the
ballroom.
The ballroom. Thank
you.
you.
Who the fuck has a ballroom?
For real, Jesus. Right? And he was a fucking accountant. You got a ballroom on an accountant's salary?
How many balls you throwing, bro?
Dude, I mean, real, like,
not enough.
Sour ones. Yeah, not enough. And so he killed everyone and then realized, like, wait, I don't want to die. So he cranked up the air conditioning.
How suicide cult is that?
Right? What a fucking... Ugh.
Death looks like a bummer. I think I'll skip that part.
Ew, they're so gross. I don't want to do it. It looks like it hurts. Like, oh, okay,
what a piece of
fucking
shit.
Family annihilator. So he killed his whole family. Decided to, like, whoopsies, take backs on that whole suicide part. And he cranked up the AC. He turned on the radio, and then he fucking locked the door behind him and walked out, started a new life. And so I remember seeing an episode of America's Most Wanted when I was a very small child, and they had made a bust of what John List probably looked at because they had, like, done an age progression on him. And when they showed that creepy bald white man, something inside me just went, that's what bad guys look like. And it sat in my mind. But
you're not wrong.
You know, John Walsh is he's a hurricane of justice that you cannot escape.
He is.
I just adore him. And they found John List living his best life. He had remarried. He was still an accountant because, like, white man doesn't change his spots.
Right.
I mean, unless they're liver spots. But he, he went on to live, like, his best life for the next 18 years. Just adopted a new identity and stuff. And so anyway, in The Watcher, this guy John who lived next door, it's like same shit, different fucking John. You know, it's like, oh, he killed his family, and oh, he couldn't afford his house. I mean, like, everything was the same, except in Ryan Murphy's world, John List went to Mia Farrow's house and then lived in the tunnels that run through the town, and then would come up and bang her sometimes, and then went back to living like a mole rat for like 18 years or whatever they said it was.
That sounds fine.
I mean, he had like a bed down there and stuff. Like, he was definitely like a little mole rat living in the tunnels under the houses. So it was weird. It was far less spooky than the reality of that John List just went on to live a better life with a different family.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hate him. I hate his face.
That's kind of the thing that I've noticed with this show is a lot of the reality behind it is scarier in a lot of ways, but not as dramatic for TV.
Totally.
Like the letters are way fucking scarier, I think, in reality.
Totally. So, you know what? I think now's a good time to get into letter number 2.
Yes. Okay. So, I think it was about 2 weeks after they received the first letter, they received this next letter. I don't know how long it was between the 2 letters in the TV show.
I think it was just a couple of days.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, so about 2 weeks later, they had received this letter that Aaron will read now.
Okay, now I'm channeling some Big Edie vibes.
No transatlantic accent.
Oh, I swear. I know, she was a big fan of that one.
Oh, yeah, she was.
Welcome again to your new home at 657 Boulevard. Okay, now, this is Aaron speaking. I feel like that's the welcome again you get when you got the welcome to the neighborhood cookies, but you were like, oh, we're gluten-free, thanks, but no thanks.
I feel like it's the welcome again that you get when you forgot to return the plate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you took them and then they saw you dumping them in the trash because you are gluten-free, but you didn't want to be rude. And then you forgot to return their plate. So the vibe is a little spicier, but, you know, it also could be Big Edie.
It really reinforced the creepiness.
It did.
I think. So
The workers have been busy, and I've been watching you unload carfuls of your personal belongings. This. The dumpster's a nice touch. Have they found what's in the walls yet? In time they will. I'm pleased to know your names now and the names of the young blood you have brought me. You certainly say their names often. And then the letter goes on to list their names, which in this letter,
like their names and nicknames in birth order.
Yeah, and a lot of this has been redacted. So, is she the artist in the family? 657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of this house. Have you found all of the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement, or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is really far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Will they sleep in the attic, or will they sleep on the second floor? Who has the bedroom facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in which bedroom. Then I can plan better. All of the windows and doors in 657 Boulevard allow me to watch you and track your moving through the house. Who am I? I am the Watcher. And I've been in control of 657 Boulevard for the better part of 2 decades now. The Woods family turned it over to you. It was their time to move on and kindly sold it when I asked them to. I pass by many times a day. 657 Boulevard is my job, my life, my obsession. And now you too, Braddis family. Welcome to the product of your greed. Greed is what brought the past 3 families to 657 Boulevard, and now it has brought you to me. Have a happy moving day. You know I'll be watching. Are you one of those Hoboken transplants who are ruining Westfield? The house is crying from all the pain it is going through. You've changed it and made it so fancy. You're stealing its history. It cries for the past and what it used to be in the time when I roamed its halls. The 1960s were a good time for 657 Boulevard when I ran from room to room, imagining the life with the rich occupants there. The house was so full of life and young blood. Then it got old, and so did my father, but he kept watching until the day he died. And now I watch and wait for the day when the young blood will be mine again. 657 is turning on me. It's coming after me. I don't understand why. What spell did you cast on it? It used to be my friend, and now it's my enemy. I'm in charge of 657 Boulevard. It's not in charge of me. I will fend off its bad things and wait for it to become good again. It will not punish me. I will rise again. I will be patient and wait for this to pass and for you to bring the young blood back to me. 657 Boulevard needs young blood. It needs you. Come back. Let the young blood play again like I once did. Let the young blood sleep in 657 Boulevard. Stop changing it and let it alone.
I don't know why, but that second letter just like it makes me so uncomfortable.
It's the worst. It's the worst
oh
because
my god,
you can see the slipping from
the slipping of the person's mental faculties. It's just oh my god. Ooh, it reminds me of every crazy ex I've ever had.
Right.
So okay, a few things about the letters. So the first one was on the envelope. It was just like addressed to the new residents of 657 Boulevard. And then the second one was addressed to the Braddis family, but it was spelt wrong. So it was like they had heard their names said as opposed to like sifted through their mail, which I actually think is more disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
And it was addressed M/M Braddis. Which apparently is more of like an old-timey way to say Mr. and Mrs. if you're writing it on a letter. And oh my god, seriously, it's so
yeah.
So after the whole like, have you found what's in the walls? Like I had said before, they brought in a contractor to be like, I don't know what's in the fucking walls, Frankie. And it's just nothing but a lack of insulation. And then with where they had addressed, you know, oh, like, is your daughter the artist? So the reason for that was there was an easel that was placed kind of in like a covered patio. I don't know what you would call that, but you couldn't see it from the street. It was like obscured by some foliage, like vines or whatever, but you could see it from The Langford property. It was
And-
Langford, right?
Yes, the Langfords are like the Mia Farrow.
Yes. And so Aaron's point with it being Grey Gardens is actually probably a good one. So it was a 90-year-old woman and her children who were all in their 60s, and they all lived there.
Everybody thought it was the adult children, but I bet it was the old ass lady.
It might have been, though. So yeah, everybody did think it was the adult children. So Michael was the first one under suspicion just because he was kind of odd. Which is a weirdo myself. Like, okay, yeah, I get it.
I know, right? I was like, I'm kind of odd.
Right. And then so the police department actually had taken these letters pretty fucking seriously because they're rich white people who are placing the complaints. And so they had acted, they did a DNA test. It was nobody who was in I don't know if they actually ran it by the system, but more or less they were able to suss out that it was a female whose saliva was on the letters. And so that ruled out Michael, but it didn't rule him out in the Broaddus family's mind. They were still like dogged about it to the point of the Langford family was like, yo, dude, like, we're going to bring action upon you, legal action upon you if you keep fucking with us.
Yeah,
like,
quit telling everybody
it
we're
is not
fucking,
him.
Yeah, quit
And-
telling everybody that, like, dragging our name from the mud.
Right? And then even the, oh gosh, I can't remember her name right now. I forgot my one sheet. The sister, they were like, okay, well, she's a real estate agent, so maybe she was like salty that she didn't get the listing, and so she's trying to drive them out. And slyly, after they had hired this former FBI agent guy, he had bribed, nicely asked, I'm not sure how specifically he got this security guard to do it, but it shift changed. He had gotten the security guard to take her water bottle so they could swab it and run it for DNA and see if it matched, and it was not a match.
Yeah.
So the Langfords, I mean, honestly, all but the mother, had been ruled
Right.
out. But I'm kind of sure that if they had swabbed it, they would have been like, no, it's not her, but it has a tie. You know what I mean?
It's a family member.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe it's our original guess that we solved with, which I think now is really good. I'm going to read the third letter. I'm going to say that the Ryan Murphy series does not solve the case because the case is not solved in real life. All it does is create more suspects. But you know what? Watch it, because I really think as a drama, it was fun.
It was an effective drama for sure.
And like, I couldn't stop watching it after a certain point.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to finish it. I have to know, because you watch the slow deterioration. Well, not even slow, the fast deterioration of the Braddock family. It's really good. So
Wait, I need to give a little bit of context to this letter. So they had bought the house in 2013. By 2018, it still hadn't sold. Word had kind of gotten out about the letters, much to their chagrin and much to the chagrin of the police, who had told the family, do not talk about these letters because everyone is a suspect. They had tried to woo the watcher out of hiding because, like I said, it had been, a while since they had received a letter. And they had even circulated like a flyer saying that the house was going to be torn down, figuring, oh, this will, elicit some sort of response, to no avail. And then finally they were able to rent the house out. They had been trying to sell it for quite a while and no fucking buyers.
because they had made the mistake of like
Disclosing.
oh fuck.
Right. Not only did they disclose it, but there was a town hall meeting about it.
Yeah, and lots of like newspaper articles.
Oh yeah, tons of hullabaloo. And so finally, in I believe 2018, they were able to rent it out. And they had rented it out to a family that had like grown children and big dogs. And they were like, we're not scared of any letters. But if we do happen to receive one, we are OUT. And they were like, okay, yeah, fair enough, sure. And sure enough, like a week or two in, this letter arrives.
Violent winds and bitter cold to the vile and spiteful Derek and his wench of a wife, Maria. You wonder who the watcher is? Turn around, idiots.
It's Dwight fucking Schrute.
Dwight Schrute. Maybe you even spoke to me. One of the so-called neighbors who has no idea who the watcher could be. I feel like there would have been like a laugh right there too. Like,
Yeah.
or maybe you do know and you're too scared to tell anyone. Good move. 657 Boulevard survived your attempted assault and stood strong with its army of supporters barricading its gates. My soldiers of the Boulevard followed my orders to a T. They carried out their mission and saved the soul of 657 Boulevard on my orders. All hail the Watcher.
Girl boss.
Girl boss. Maybe a car accident, maybe a fire, maybe something simple like a mild illness that never seems to go away but makes you feel sick day after day after day after day after day. Loved ones suddenly die, planes and cars and bicycles crash, bones break. And so that was kind of where it ended because the rest was redacted. But like, I feel like that was the spiciest.
Oh, it was. And also, like, how far is that reach? That's literally like just saying, like, literally anything bad that happens to you. Yeah, that was me.
That was totally me because I'm a baby witch. No,
Yeah, I'm a TikTok baby witch.
And I learned this cool baby witch spell.
Yeah.
So now it was with this letter that we came to our original conclusion about who the Watcher is. It is ants.
Ants. It's fucking ants.
It's ants. So
it's fucking ants, man.
my army of supporters have stood strong.
And that's why there was no insulation in the fucking walls.
Right.
Have you found what's in the walls? Not insulation is
Nope.
what. And the reason that in the 60s it was a good time for 657 Boulevard is because the mom was all hyped up on fucking drugs. Like, not like heroin, but, you know, like some mama's little helpers, you know. Mama needs a nap, little martini nap. And so the kids were just roaming the halls with fucking peanut butter on their fingers, dropping fucking crumbs and shit.
Oh, mom was high as fuck.
Yeah, and the ants were just like nom 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 nom. And but they've had to eat the fucking insulation and all the shit in the walls because, like, you know, the last homeowners not so much. Like, they would feed the ants like as pets, and that's why they got that letter of like, hey, thanks for all the fucking cookie crumbs.
They never put out ant traps. They never fucking sprayed for ants.
Right.
And they were old as shit, so they couldn't see all the crumbs they were leaving behind on their plastic furniture, which
and
is
they probably
super
had
easy.
dogs, and dogs leave little doggy crumbs.
They do. And like when you put plastic on the furniture because you're an old person, like it's easy for the ants can grip it easier. And their little feet
Never
don't
thought
get
about that.
tender. That just came to me. I'm channeling the ants right now. I'm channeling their vibe. I am an ant. I've become an ant. But like, why else would you be so concerned with, like kids? Kids are fucking sticky, dirty, like leaving shit everywhere for you to eat and leaving shit for your future generations to eat. Like,
and that's why, like,
that's why they're obsessed with young
generations
blood.
and generations of the Watcher. What if it's just the queen ant?
I was just gonna say it was the queen ant. And
how
who gives
long do
birth to the
queens
queen ant?
live?
A while. Which is not a sufficient
Like
answer.
20 to 40 years?
How
I don't know. We're going to
long
give it a
do
Google just for you guys.
Ants live 30 years.
Holy shit.
It's fucking ants.
It's ants, bro.
Ants are the Watcher. And
So I'll date.
sometimes they like Dracula style. Sometimes they'll like form of human, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, to type out the fucking letters.
Yeah, but like, how else would you be able to see the easel? You live in the house with them. How else would you be able to like frame the neighbors? You can go sit in their chairs.
Yeah?
I mean, sentient ants is not that far off.
Right?
So
I think
welcome.
it's solved, man.
You're welcome, guys, whoever lives there now.
Solved.
Solved. So, on that note, I think it's a good place to end.
Yeah, it was fucking ants, bro.
And it's a solid recreation of our last week's hypothesis. So, I mean, like, come at us for sure if you have a different theory. Try to debunk our ant theory.
You won't be able to.
I've taken it a step further. Ants got in the brain of the old Edie, like Big Edie next door, and used her shaky ass hand to write the letters. And that's why she used her colloquialisms. Okay,
a queen ant lives inside her brain. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Duh.
Just eating the brain. That's why I got crazier and nuttier as it went on.
Dude. Solved.
Done. You're welcome. Like, send us the,
Send us the royalties.
Dude, send us the checks.
Yeah.
We're here for it. You're welcome. Go watch The Watcher. Until next week.
We're the solvers.
We're the solvers. Feature ants, guys.
Yeah.
So they stay out of your brains.